Hi, this is Dr. Mark Sehl from the YouTube channel Therapy for the Heart. It is Thursday, not Tuesday. I'm catching up, but I wanted to make this talk because I'm going to take a break, um, and I'll return September 5th. It should be with a new video. If not that, then the 12th. Thanks for checking in here and listening to the podcasts and the YouTube channel for the Therapy for the Heart. And so I had some thoughts. I said something I was gonna personalize something about retreating and being in the box, and so I found this story that I wrote. Must have been maybe in my late 20s, early 30s, and it's about a baby. Of course, me. It's in a crib, and it's frustrated because it's locked in. It can't get out, so it gets out of the crib and pushes it against the wall and breaks it into parts, smithereens. And then it goes out and explores the world. And it goes into a meadow and it chases a butterfly. And the baby says, I don't want to catch the butterfly. The chase is the game. I don't want to catch it. I don't want to put it in a box like me. So, in his travels, he meets a deer, and he wants to know from the deer if the deer was ever boxed in, like in a cage. And the deer said no. So the baby says, why me? So I'll read you what I wrote. The deer says man is in conflict. That's why. Man is in conflict with his own nature. He does not understand that one box leads to another until you have nowhere to go and see nothing but the box. He sees only four sides of life, the walls of the box. Like man who used to think the world flat. Once you see it's round, you keep looking over the horizon and never come to the end. So that was my writing. And so now I write on LinkedIn many posts about breaking out of the box. No wonder, right? Breaking out of the box in theater, in psychotherapy. I broke out of the box today. There's a lot of sorts of boxes you can have, and with one dash of courage, they're not going to all tumble down like the cards that you stack up. They all fall down when you hit one. Well, they're not. You have to keep I have to keep working at it. So I was over at the playground at the corner, and I was sitting there watching the children. I love to watch children. They were with their nannies and moms, and I was looking at this one baby, and I was just taken by this baby, his expression, and I, of course, like most adults, I was trying to, get him to laugh, and he laughed. He had a big smile on his face eventually, and I started to draw him. And that was my breaking out of the box, because I felt it wasn't something I'm used to doing, drawing children. And well, what I also am not used to doing is going up really close to him. Now, I like kids, and that wasn't that. It's just going up close to him and drawing him while his nanny was there. And it just was a joy for me, because he had this great smile on his face. And wow, yeah. So then I went over across the way to this nanny that was sitting across and sitting with a wonderful, engaging baby on her lap. So I went over and I said, may I draw the baby? So she said yes. So we talked, and her name was Bianca, and the baby was Ethan. So Bianca was very interested in psychology at one point. She was a dancer, she told me, but her aunt, I think, was a psychotherapist. So we had a very enjoyable conversation about her life, and she tends the baby that's in the apartment right down on the corner of the street where I live. So there's a host of subjects I found by having the courage to just walk around and draw, and talk to people and do that. So I remember that time I went into the church, St. Peter's in Rome, and it was so silent in there. You know, it's like you were back in church when I was a kid, and you better not make too much noise. So I remember those days. One time I was thrown out of church because I was fooling around with my friend. The preacher said, "Hey, up there, if you keep that up, you're going to have to leave." Well, that did it. It embarrassed the hell out of me. But, yeah, so I walked into that St. Peter's, a little chapel, and everybody was so quiet. And I saw where I could go and draw, so I went over there and I started to draw, and I made a nice scene, I made painting of the nuns there. But it meant these things make me nervous. I have a lot of anxiety, and that's not the point. What the point is do you let the anxiety rule you, or are you going to rule it? So I'm a fighter as much as I am scared of situations. So breaking out of the box is really what free speak is all about. Let me read you a quote. "If we live only a small piece of what is inside us, then what happens to the rest of us?" Isn't that an interesting question? I mean, I think about it as the unconscious, you know, and the more we separate ourselves from our unconscious, our things that we are ashamed of, things that we could never say out loud, things that we don't want to report because of people's opinion of us, you know, people's opinion. Well, we all are concerned about people's opinions, but that's human nature. But the strength to get over it and then go and live anyway and be yourself. That's one of the side effects of the side effects. It's not like a illness. It's the benefits of being in therapy. The unexpected benefits of being in therapy is to be able to develop authenticity, to be yourself, accept yourself, and if you have that, no one could take it away from you. And what's better than that? You can have a lot of money, you can lose it in the stock market, right? You can have an apartment, you could lose it, but you have self-confidence built, your own foundation. You know, that's wonderful. Yeah. So that baby and the deer, that was me, was the baby, and the deer was myself who was writing about this story, and in some ways it was along the lines of The Little Prince, too, because that was my favorite book, and you know how the prince meets the fox. Well, that's the meeting of the deer and the baby. So now I have a whole bunch of subjects that I could draw: children and nannies and moms. If anybody else has any suggestions. But I don't really usually run out of subjects. I draw on the subway, and I drew one picture of a woman sitting across from me, and it's interesting how what fun I have in doing that, because when I look across and I see people, I want to draw them, so I start to draw. And people either know they're being drawn and enjoy it, or they don't. They pretend that they don't know. It's very hard not to know. But and what happens usually is I'll be drawing somebody, and the guy or the girl next to me, they'll give a thumbs up to the person across the subway, you know, sitting across from me, and so that person then now knows, and they may be a little embarrassed, but also like it and love it. So depending upon my mood, I'll give them the painting on the way out. And what a happy thing that is to, you know, talk about giving and giving out something. So I give them the painting if I'm in the mood, or I'll take a picture of them with the painting and with a drawing, and sometimes I put it up on my art site. So free speak. That's what therapy is all about. So we don't have to compartmentalize ourselves in little places over here and keep that separate from over here. You know, so maybe some people know you this way and some people know you that way, and you don't walk around very free. So I just did a LinkedIn advertisement for my psychotherapy group, which is starting in September, pretty soon. My psychotherapy training group, and I've led one now for 7 years about, and that's closed. And what a fantastic group! They get down to business. I mean, actually, really business. They help each other grow their own businesses. You know, people in the group have never had businesses. Now 2 or 3 of them have their own businesses. And the unintended effects of group therapy is developing a confidence in your own ability to talk in a group of people. So you work against the resistance of shame. That's why we don't talk, because we're ashamed of our thoughts. We don't feel good about ourselves. We don't feel welcome. We feel like if somebody got to know me, they wouldn't like me. It's joy to be hidden and disaster not to be found. So it's only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye, and it's so true. Our emotions are so important. So let them go. Feel things if you can. Be in therapy. Get confidence. We've covered a lot since the last, maybe this what I call it a semester. It's not really a semester, but we covered a lot about secure and insecure attachments and how they persist to adult life, and repetition compulsions in relationships, so that you can identify them so you don't have to repeat them. We covered Jane, the case of Jane, which it was a intricately involved case of my shortcomings and how I overgrew them, and how she overgrew hers, and how we developed a relationship, and she blossomed, but a very tough lady to work with. Yeah, so we talked about that. We talked about a lot about resistance. Overcoming addictions, overprescribing medications, a lot of things we covered. Much more than when I was on YouTube last time, that space of a year, I think it was, where I didn't do much. So I like doing it because I enjoy my work. I love what I do when I work. I love what I do, and do what I love. That's what I do. I love what I do, and I do what I love in two things: working with people and art. Like today, I went out and drew it out. It made me happy, drawing people. I smile when I'm drawing something. Right when I'm starting, I just smile. It makes me so happy. And when I see people evolve and blossom, maybe cry for the first time, or be angry for the first time, and work through a depression, conquer the anxiety, become courageous instead of timid, it's very gratifying. Yeah. So I think that's what I'm going to say. Don't forget podcasts on iTunes, or you can go also on SoundCloud.com. Yeah. And listen to them for those who want to listen. There's some there that you might not, there's some there that you won't have. They're all related here and there, but there's an imitation, but there's also they're different in terms of the presentation, and content is similar, but also it varies. So check it out. So this is Mark Sehl. Oh, I wanted to say one thing about the unexpected or unintended benefits of therapy. What I did one time, and I wanted to take my own medicine, doing things different. I mean, that's a big thing, doing things different. You know, like I went to the park and talked to those and drew the kids, and overcame my little bit self-consciousness about doing that. So what I was going to say was that when I gave the talk, I was taking my own medicine. So when I walked out the office door where I live and work, instead of going left to get my coffee, which I always do, I said, well, I'm going to go right. And I felt a resistance to doing that. I was just not, it's an uncomfortable path. I never take that path to go right. So I went right. And I turned the corner, and I take photos of reflections of buildings. And maybe I told you this already, but I take photos of reflections in the buildings. Like one time I was walking down 2nd Avenue, and there was a flower shop. So I looked in from outside, and there was this woman putting a rose, in a vase. She was arranging them. She was just putting in, And I took the picture of that, and what a striking picture from the outside. And it was a really candid shot because she didn't know I was taking it. And, yeah, so as I walked, I took the right turn and I walked past the UN. And so since I like taking pictures of reflections, there was the UN. And the UN is like a whole huge building with a mirror. And there was this reflection in the UN. Beautiful, big, huge. So I took a picture of it, and if I didn't take that right, I wouldn't have seen that reflection. Yeah. Many things in life, if we can break through whatever the resistance is to doing something different. And that's what free speak is all about, saying something that you're afraid to say. But boy, what a gain you can have by bringing different aspects of yourself that you're ashamed of together and become a whole unified, confident human being. Yeah. So that's it. I'm going to sign off for now. I'm going to take a break, a much needed rest, and I will be back to greet you again pretty soon. Okay, this is Mark Sehl, YouTube channel for the heart, therapy for the heart, and there's also, I think this is the 51st video. Yeah, so 55, 51. That's my age. No, I'm only kidding. Yeah, so see, I'm having a hard time leaving because I like staying here and talking to all of you. So yeah, so that's it. And I hope you have a good, if you're away or on vacation, have a good time, a healthy one. And if you need to contact me, 917-991-9113, marksehl@gmail.com, and my website is marksehl.com. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye-bye for now.